Welcome into college football now. I am Tom Downey. We're about to preview Michigan versus TCU, the college football playoff semifinal in the Fiesta Bowl, number 2 versus number 3. Before we get there, though, today is Christmas Eve. So if you haven't already, head down to that comment section. I don't know why you would unless you're cheating looking at the description in advance. What do you guys want for Christmas? Now, maybe you're watching after Christmas. If so, you can tell us what you got. But what is your number one item on your Christmas wish list this year? If you're a Michigan fan, maybe you're picking, or a TCU fan, you're probably picking a win. And cash is also a very acceptable answer in the comment section. Speaking of cash, I put some down on Michigan to win this game. The Wolverines are a 7.5-point favorite on December 31st, the first of the 2 college football playoff semifinal matchups. TCU's the underdog, and they got in despite losing the Big 12 championship game. Let's break down how TCU got here. Took down Colorado, Tarleton State, which barely counts as a win if we're being honest. SMU by a bit more of a narrow score, 1 score, keep that in mind. They blew out Oklahoma, the one that announced them as, TCU might be good this year. Took down a then undefeated Kansas team by 1 score. Oklahoma State by 1 score. Rallied against Kansas State to win by 2 scores. West Virginia by 2 scores. They beat Texas Tech and Texas by a score apiece. Baylor by 1 point. Embarrassed Iowa State and then lost narrowly in a bit of a thrilling game, I think it was a thrilling game, against Kansas State. They've had a lot more close games than Michigan has had so far this season. Michigan blew out Colorado State, Hawaii, Connecticut, bit of a narrow game against Maryland, held on against Iowa, handled business against Indiana, a fourth quarter blowout against Penn State, Michigan State, Rutgers, Nebraska, no problems. Closer game against Illinois, maybe getting their eyes ahead to Ohio State. They ran away in the fourth quarter again against the Buckeyes and then took care of business against Purdue. Michigan so far this year has been the more complete team. TCU has been more of the comeback kings. So who you got? T for TCU, M for Michigan. Who do you have in this matchup? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in T for TCU or M for Michigan. If the ad break comes, just let it play, whatever. Go to the pinned comment and get those votes in. Let's hit some injury news here on both sides. First, obviously, Blake Corum will not be playing in this matchup. He's not going to be cleared. But there is growing buzz that Corum might return to Michigan next year, which would be a pretty big boost for the Wolverines. So I'm not going to go too far on this because this is a preview here. But make sure you keep an eye on Corum potentially going back to the Wolverines next year. You can get your predictions in on this as well. Will Blake Corum return to Michigan next year? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comments section. More Michigan injury news here. Donovan Edwards is expected to play fully. He's been battling the hand-wrist injury thing. He's had the cast on it. Sounds like he's going to be just fine. He'll be playing. He'll be out there, etc. Do keep an eye on Edwards, though, if that does limit him, but it should be a smaller cast for that game. Now, we've always kind of known Edwards was going to play. Where things have been interesting is Mike Morris, Michigan's kind of linebacker, defensive end hybrid. He's the defensive lineman of the year, so call him outside linebacker edge. He played just 11 snaps against Ohio State, but our source, or a source to our James Yoder here, host of the Michigan Football Report, says he will play, should be about 90% at game time. You'll take 90% of Mike Morris, and that can significantly help the Wolverines. So maybe pitch count, kind of guessing there, but we'll keep an eye on Morris, how effective he is as he battles injury. Good news for TCU, Quentin Johnston, the TCU wide receiver, who's been banged up, nicked up, kind of battling some lower body stuff all year long. He is going to play, and TCU needs him. I am a huge fan of Johnston. I think he's one of, if not the best receivers that are draft eligible, so not Marvin Harrison Jr., in all of college football. If I were TCU, I would call the F it, Johnston down there somewhere play a lot against Michigan, because that's how they're going to find a way to win that game, is to get Johnston involved as heavily as possible. Downfield, short area, get him the ball. Good things tend to happen for TCU. Are you wasting money on subscriptions? 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about. Maybe for you, it's an unused Amazon Prime account or a Hulu account that never gets streamed. There's this great app I use that helps me track all of my expenses. And because of it, I no longer waste money on subscriptions I don't even use. You might have heard of it. It's called Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill. The app shows all your subscriptions in one place and then cancels for you whatever you don't still want. Whether it's that Prime, Hulu, you name it. They can even find subscriptions you didn't know you were paying for, or maybe you got double charged for a subscription, which would be pretty brutal. To cancel a subscription through Rocket Money, all you do is press cancel. That is it. Get rid of useless subscriptions with Rocket Money today. Go to rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. That's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily right there. It could save you hundreds of dollars per year. Seriously, check it out. Links in the comment section and the description. It's rocketmoney.com/NFL Daily. Let's look now at the quarterback comparison between the two QBs in this game, Max Duggan and J.J. McCarthy. Now, Duggan, of course, was a Heisman Trophy finalist. McCarthy, a bit more accurate completion percentage-wise, but Duggan has been asked and has done more for the TCU offense compared to Michigan, which has a much better run game. I think McCarthy might have a brighter NFL future if he continues to grow. But you make an argument that Duggan right this second is a better QB. Who would you take, as we saw Max Duggan absolutely try to carry TCU to that win over Kansas State with some of that late game heroics? Who would you take, MD for Max Duggan or JJ for JJ McCarthy? Get those votes in for me in the comment section. I think this graphic right here can help show why Michigan is a 7-point favorite against the Horned Frogs. Michigan is undefeated. Both teams have electric scoring offenses, averaging over 40 points per game. God, I love college football. But the scoring defense, although TCU is good, 25 points per game, it's only tied for 57th. And Michigan is tied for 4th, allowing less than 14 points per game. They have the top 23rd down offense. That's significant against better competition. TCU not as good there. Both teams are very much in the positive with the turnover margin. That's why Michigan's the favorite. Their offense has been just as good as TCU's this year. We mentioned Donovan Edwards and J.J. McCarthy. Some other top players to watch on offense. Top two receivers right now, Ronnie Bell, Cornelius Johnson. Bell's been reliable. Johnson had the big blow-up game against Ohio State. Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end, is a reliable player as well. Not as electric as, some other tight ends in recent memory. He's a good player. Michigan's offensive line has been, I would say, the best O-line in college football this year. I could have put their entire 5 offensive linemen up here. Olu Watimi, the center, who won some awards this season for Michigan. He is the linchpin. He's had a fantastic season transferring in from Virginia. That Michigan offensive line is going to be a force to reckon with, and I think it's a big advantage over TCU. TCU's talent is more in their back end. Travius Hodges-Tomlinson, Josh Newton, Bud Clark's made some plays. I like Johnny Hodges as a tackler and as a run stopper. I worry about TCU getting enough pressure when the Michigan drops back pass. I am concerned about that for TCU. I am very curious how that all plays out in the end. So keep an eye on the Horned Frogs there. If they can generate pressure, that's going to be a big deal in getting after McCarthy, and we'll get to some more keys of the games here in a little bit. Pick the score for me of TCU against Michigan. What's your score prediction? Let me know in the comment section right now. On to the other side of the football here, the TCU defense, some of the top players to watch here, or TCU offense, I should say, excuse me. Kendre Miller has really kind of stepped up his game as of late, helping take some pressure off of the TCU Max Duggan-led offense. Darius Davis, big play machine. Tay Barber's been reliable. Jared Wiley is not your high-end impact tight end, but he is a reliable piece at that position in the Sonny Dykes offense. Brandon Coleman is a very good offensive tackle. He will have his hands full, though, in this game. I like Michigan's front more than I like TCU's front. That's not the first time we've said that. Mozzie Smith, who I still think should go by Mays Smith, but that's just me because it's Michigan. Run-stopping defensive tackle has had a fantastic year. Iabi Oki, the former Alabama edge rushers, had a sudden breakout year for the Michigan Wolverines. Junior Colson's been all over the field. Will Johnson's been a bit of a lockdown corner so far. And Mike Sainristil, the former receiver at nickel, has really shined for the Wolverines. That secondary is going to be tested against Quentin Johnston, though, and company. Now we're previewing Michigan versus TCU. If you want an Ohio State versus Georgia preview, got you guys covered. Hit that sub button right now for Georgia versus Ohio State. Preview coming Christmas Day. Let's talk keys to the game here. One on each side. We'll kind of go quickly. I'm cheating with the first one. Michigan, run the football. TCU, stop the run. It makes sense, right? Michigan's going to want to get Donovan Edwards heavily involved, get him going, run that football behind that elite offensive line. If TCU can stop them, and this is basically what Senator Dykes has said, he doesn't want the grounding game. He wants J.J. McCarthy to beat them. TCU will be in this game, but if they can't stop the run, they're going to be in major, major trouble. Number 2, limit the big plays. And TCU, right, you're the underdog. How are you hanging around? You're stealing possessions. You're getting big plays. You're being an explosive offense on offense and defense in terms of the big plays. If you can do that for TCU, you have a chance to upset Michigan. If I'm Michigan, I'm like, all right, TCU, go have a sustained 11-play drive down the field on us. And that's how a lot of defenses are changing. They're trying to avoid the big plays that are so much more prevalent in college football than the NFL. If Michigan can force TCU to have those long, sustained drives, things will benefit them, I think, in the end. Number 3, you do need your quarterback to step up. That's J.J. McCarthy, who I think correctly earned that starting quarterback job. He is dynamic. He's shown a lot of flash. He's still young. If number 1 doesn't happen, then you really need McCarthy. I do still think, though, Michigan will be able to run the football. Even with that, your quarterback has to make plays, especially on third downs. Because if you run the football and you get 3 yards, 2 yards, okay, now you're in 3rd and 5. You got to make those plays if you're the QB. Number 3, key to the game for TCU, be the comeback kids again. Why not? TCU's done it all year long. They're a second-half team. They might not start that great. Then they get going. Now, if you do fall behind your TCU, you can't get discouraged. They've been here before. They've been the comeback kids. If you get behind, got to make that happen because I suspect that TCU will end up getting behind. If you haven't already, folks, please make sure you guys are subscribed. Hope you enjoy your Christmas and holidays from us here at Chat Sports.